Announcements tonight. So dues. It's that time of the year. I should probably pay mine. I'll pay mine. $20 for the entire year for your family. You can pay Adam in cash, check, or Venmo. All of those are acceptable ways to do your membership dues. And do you have something to share at the end or now? At the end. We'll save yours for the end. Okay, I have to pull up my stuff here. We have a great topic tonight, plan, shop, and save. And I'm super excited to welcome Shelly tonight to share with us. And I don't know about you guys, but flexing from a family of whatever to suddenly you add, how many did you add? 3? 2. I mean, it might have been 3. Sometimes challenging, especially with how grocery prices have changed. So I'm excited about this topic. I think it's super practical. So I'm going to hand this microphone to you and let you fully introduce yourself.
Thank you. And I don't know what the span of this is. This is a new experience for me. I was asked to cover for Jessica at work and I said, sure, and then I discovered that it was also virtual. So it is what it is, right? So I'm Shelly Kuntz and I'm with the Burleigh County Extension. I am the Family and Community Wellness Agent out there. I don't know if you're familiar with the extension at all, but just a little brief on that because I always have to give kudos to my coworkers as well. We are very lucky to have a lot of agents out there. We have an ag agent who does crops and animals and all sorts of things like that. We have 2 FNEP and a FNP person, so we have one for each, and this is actually an FNEP program, expanded food and nutrition program, and then our family nutrition program. Both of those agents fall into this umbrella of the foster cares. We also have a horticulturist, and the horticulturist is always working with plants, and she gets calls year round, but the summer is high-end calls with grass issues and trees and shrubs and flowers and gardens and all of that. And I get a lot of different topics from food and nutrition to fraud and identity theft to I'm doing a couple Nourish programs at some of the senior care centers right now. I do youth programming in schools with foods and nutrition. Pretty much your gamut I can pretty much cover with that. So I am glad that you are together tonight. This is just a fun opportunity, and it's so good to see that you can gather, I hear, once a month, and then with your the children as well, that they can be and play with each other. So it's awesome. So with that, the presentation tonight is called Plan, Shop, and Save. And like I said, I work with Jessica Reveland, and she is our FNEP person. And she helped put this together. Her son had an orchestra or a band concert tonight that she wanted to go to. So just covering for her, which we all do. Yeah. Like I need to be taller. I was just at a store today and I reached up and they go, "We need you here." After I just got done saying I'm too tall, but mm-hmm.
Meal planning would be like looking at a week ahead, going, okay, what are we gonna eat this week, and we have groceries and we got stuff.
Nice. I like that. A week ahead. Okay. Any other share outs with what meal planning means? A little more prepared when you have that week ahead? How many of us have ever ran to the store as we're making something? I'm out of this. I need to run and get it, right? I know I've been in that boat a little bit as well. So, there you go. I like that. Borrow from neighbors. Yes, I love that. Good. I'm just trying. Okay, there we go. So why spend time with planning? One, it saves money. Second is makes cooking at home a lot easier because you have the supplies, more likely to eat healthy foods, and it saves time. So take a look at each one of those four and what would be the most benefit to you other than all of the above. Saves time, making cooking at home easier, more likely to eat healthier foods, or saves time. Okay, so planning would help you eat healthier foods. Good. Saving money, yeah, that's a big one. So grocery prices have just so jumped in the number. Right, they do. Yep, they do. Okay. Is it any, is time a factor for anyone? I know you get busy maybe with jobs and then the kids, and if they're in school, then they come home and you have homework and you have activities and all that stuff that comes into play. So time is a factor. This is just a fun little picture, and I asked Jessica attention for this picture. She goes, well, it's just kind of a mind break. And I said, it is very pretty and it's very colorful. And when you look at this picture, you can see meat products, you can see fresh fruits and vegetables, you can see grains, dairy. It's just a good reminder of what good quality food would be. So let's talk about planning first. When we talk about planning, we keep a list of family favorites. How many of you pretty much know your family favorites, right? Have you talked about that with your friends or your other relatives and shared recipes, shared ideas? Hopefully, this would be a good place to share out a couple recipes as well. I don't know if any of you cook with the Instant Pots or the new air fryers. Okay, maybe some of you have some fantastic recipes that you can share with that. I know my sister and her three daughters, they would share, and they had a huge number of recipes that they said were tried and true, and they were. They loved all of them, so they were sharing out. Creating a meal list. So we all know that we like certain things, kids like certain things. Helping get that meal list together. Maybe you each take turns suggesting a meal, or have some kids give some input on what they would like. And so it's not the same old thing. Look at what you already have on hand. We have a little food pantry in our house, hopefully a little cabinet. What's in our fridge? What can we make with that? Before we go to the store, look at what we have and what can we use, what can we create with this. So if you have a box of pasta and you have other things in that cabinet, let's just make a meal. What might we have in that cabinet that we could make a meal? You see a box of pasta, then we add, what else might be in our cabinet? Okay, butter and cream and cheese. So now we have pasta and butter and cream and cheese. I'm thinking this is going to be a delicious Alfredo. Okay, maybe there's some chicken somewhere that we could cook and cut up and add to that. So that would be a really good meal, something unique and creative, and we just used what we had. So sometimes we have to look and just be real creative to use those products. Otherwise, we end up going to the store, buying some more, and then we end up with all this miscellaneous. So be creative and use what's in those cabinets first. What our extension people are now calling leftovers are planned overs. It's the new leftover word, and it just seems a little nice, right? Some people like leftovers, and some people say, I don't like leftovers. Well, this is a planned over. So now let's think of something that we could do a planned over. Say you just made taco salad and you had ground beef left, the taco meat left. You can make nachos next time. Okay, what else can we make with taco meat? We could make taco soup. We could make taco hot dish with those noodles. Okay, so we have a few meals right there. I like that taco soup example. So if we have tortilla shells, what can we do with tortilla shells? We could use the taco meat on that. We can make a quesadilla. Maybe we have that cheese, just a cheese quesadilla. Again, if we have some type of meat, whether it's chicken or beef of some sort or whatever, we could put that in that quesadilla. Mash them up and use them for soup. Okay, what else? Yeah, yeah. So we could do that. We could make a breakfast burrito possibly. So it's just a matter of trying to come up with somewhere more of those newer ideas. Planned overs, not leftovers. Other than our meals, we can think about snacks. We all know kids like snacks. We like snacks. And they're important. We can choose foods from different food groups. So when we talk to the kids, we talk about my plate, the dairy, the grain, the protein, the fruits, the vegetables, the 5 food groups. If we should not happen to get some of those foods in during a meal, snack time is a really great time to do that. So today I was with 4th graders and the topic was water, simple water, keeping hydrated. And we were looking at different foods and beverages that contain water. So if we didn't want to drink water, how else could we get water in our body? And we were looking at grapes and cucumbers and broccoli and all spinach. Okay. And so with that, we were talking about how can we still get fruits and vegetables if we don't have them in our meal. So our new snack of the day might be a little bag of grapes, or it might be an orange cut up, or it might be cucumber slices. But that way we're going to assure that the child is going to get all the foods from the food groups to ensure their proper nutrition. So think about when kids ask for snacks, whether they're at home or if they're for school, think more nutritiously and what you could maybe cut up, section up, and send with them in a little bag rather than a bag of chips. Again, take note of your family's favorites. Think about how much your family will eat, and you just mentioned that with portions, and kids with portions, they're hungry. So when you are cooking, that's a big thing. Comes down to the cost of it all. But portions are important to not only control for us, but also control for kids. They're hungry, but they don't need like a heaping plateful. Maybe it's those snacks that they can have after school that might curb that extra little appetite at supper time. But we all know portions are important. For our family. So this little chart identifies from 2 to 3-year-olds up to 18-year-olds as to really what they need per day. Okay, per day. So it looked like most of the children here were like 4 to 8, maybe 9, 10. How old are they? Yeah. Okay. So let's look at these 2 columns, this column with the 4 to 8-year-old and then As they get a little bit older, they do separate from girls to boys with amounts just slightly. So 1.5 cups of vegetables. I always tell kids at school, it's really what you get offered at lunch is about 1/2 cup. And so if they get 1/2 cup at lunch, we still need a full 1 cup of vegetables. So that's why I say, hopefully we can get those in at our dinner, supper time. And how can we sneak those in breakfast? So we can make a breakfast egg dish maybe with cut up broccoli in it or cut up spinach in it. It sounds kind of crazy, but it's actually really good. So think of ways you can add vegetables throughout their day to ensure that they get that 1.5 cups. As they get a little bit older, they need 2.5. A salad is going to give them quite a bit. However, if they can add even more than just the lettuce, so maybe there is other cut up vegetables to put in that, it would be better. Fruits for the 4 to 8-year-old group, 1 to 1.5, up to 1.5 for both the girls and boys for 9 through 13-year-olds. That one to me is probably a little bit easier. An average size fruit, an apple and orange, is a serving. A lot of kids like fruit. A handful of grapes would be a serving. So I think that one is pretty easy for not only just lunches, but supper. Hopefully they're getting fruit, or again, the snacks. So work those in during the day. Grains, if they can take in grains, we know there's a lot of allergies with the gluten, the protein that's in there. But for grains, we actually need about 5, and a little bit older is 6. So a serving size of grain is like a piece of bread. If they have a full sandwich with 2 pieces of bread, it's actually 2 grains. If they eat cold cereal, it's about 3/4 cup to 1 cup, depending on the cereal. That is a serving size. A 6-inch tortilla shell. If they eat bagels, a half a bagel's considered a serving. So if they eat the full bagel, that's 2 servings. So grains actually can add up. And if you do like a pasta dish, it's actually about 3/4 cup is a serving. And I always tell the kids when I am with kids that 3/4 cup of spaghetti on my plate, it's like, seriously, I need more, right? Give me some more. So we know when we eat pasta, that can add up just with probably 2 or 3 servings simply put on our plate. So grains can add up. And then protein, 4 to 8-year-olds, 4. And as we look at the 9 and 13, it's 5. Protein, we always want to stress good protein type foods over what I say are supplements like protein bars and protein shakes. And so if they can have an egg, a boiled egg, 1 egg is a serving, depending on the size of eggs, and eggs are super expensive now as well. Hopefully that issue will calm down. If they eat beef or chicken or turkey or pork, it's actually the size of the palm of a hand. So that is actually a serving. So some people will say, well, they eat more than that. Then you have probably 2 servings of protein. Couple chicken strips is a serving. Again, depending on the size. 2 pieces of bacon, 2 pieces of sausage. And some of people who are bacon lovers, they go, seriously? I eat 3-4 pieces of bacon. So again, when we think about portions, we get used to a bigger amount, and we forget that there's just a perfect amount for us if we're training ourselves. But I know kids get hungry, and they are active for the most part, so they're burning it all off. But these are just kind of guidelines. Dairy is 2.5 to 3. I always give them the example of the milk carton. It's 1 cup the milk carton at school. So if they drink that maybe for breakfast and lunch, hopefully they can get another milk in at supper, dinner hour, or they can have a cheese stick maybe for a snack. A 3/4 cup of yogurt to a cup, depending again on the type of yogurt it is. Those are all good snacks. Getting their dairy and a little bit more protein along the way. And then our oils are 4 and 5 teaspoons. That doesn't seem like a lot, but it's enough. So that's our butters, our dressings that include some of the oils. If something is cooked in oil, we have to, think about that as well. But they do need some fats in their diet, and particularly the unsaturated fat. Okay. So when we look at this nutrition-wise, our focus is really with children, all of it. Fresh fruits and vegetables is basically a half a plate. That's what their my plate should look like, is a half a plate. And then about a quarter is grain, about a quarter is protein, and then the dairy. No, these are the servings, but I was giving you some examples in cups or pieces of bread or pieces of bacon. Yeah. So, and that's just a good average for growing. I was, the last 2 lessons in my schools were on calcium and dairy and then on protein. And I brought some examples of what would look like bone mass in a body from a newborn baby to a toddler to a preschool to a school age to a teenager to a full-grown adult to the next stage of an adult when we start to lose our bone mass. And it's pretty incredible how much bone we gain during those growing years, and that calcium is what's so important for that growing child, to prevent any kind of bone abnormalities. So, and then we don't want to lead to osteoporosis, the bone deteriorating disease, at a young age. I had some family members, of depending on choices of what they were offered, they had healthy options, but it was the more sweetened type food bases, and a couple of them ended up with some bone issues early in teenage, and so that's what they're going to have to deal with. So part of planning is thinking about what we're going to need, how we can use it, maybe thinking about the portions, what we need throughout the day, and then make a list. How many of you make a list? Okay. I think if we make a list, it's just so helpful to make sure we stick to it and we don't overspend or over purchase something that we really didn't plan for. We can save a lot that way. So stick to the items you need for your planned meals and snacks. So hopefully we can create a menu, not only just for the day, but maybe a week ahead, even if we have to do the menu twice a week to start with, and go to the store twice a week versus once a week. We'll still be better than going every day. And then stick to that list. That's super, super important. Down below, there's a couple things of checking for store ads, which a lot of stores will be on their rewards plan, I guess is the word of the day. So you can use that option. A lot of them will have ads on their apps, coupons. There's a lot of other kinds of coupon apps that some of you might be aware of. I don't use those honestly, but I know I was working with another organization that they were just throwing out a ton of different app names. So do any of you use apps and know any, I should have been prepared for this to give you some of that resource. What's a favorite one for you? Yeah, to when you go by and you look, say for example, the Target circle, okay? Mm-hmm. So you click into that and you see some items that might be on sale that really aren't out there to really know about unless you click into it. Mhm. That's good. Well, not getting distracted. Yeah. There you go. I didn't know I needed, right? And that's the last one is using online or curbside grocery pickup. A lot of people will save time by ordering online and you just stop by and you pick it up. For some people who have children, that gets to be a distraction as well if you take children into the store. But it actually can be a benefit for kids too to learn about shopping. Um, so whatever seems to work best for you is going to be the best. So online and curbside. How many of you are the online curbside pickup people? Yeah. I visited with a niece earlier and she says, I never go into the store anymore. I just order online. Okay, thank you. Good. So when shopping and I know a lot of you, this isn't all new by any means, but when we shop wisely, limit major shopping trips to once a week. A lot of people will make a Sam's Club or a Costco run once a week and get their fruit and their main items. That can save a lot of money versus going to just a regular grocery store. So um, that's one way to save. Stock up on those non-perishables if there's buy one or buy two, get one free kind of thing. If you want to look at get it free, I always look at it that I'm still paying for it. But that sometimes works if you have a lot of people that you're going to prepare meals for. Purchase fresh items you plan to use so they don't spoil. Kind of look for that as to how much will you use. I know bananas are a hard one because it seems like they're green and then all of a sudden they're overripe. So that one we have to kind of watch for as well. Do check out all those berries. Make sure that there's nothing that they already haven't started to spoil for that. Compare prices. And I don't know, I'm sure some of you use the UPC codes. Have you looked at those on stores? Compare, and I like it because it tells you the ounces, how much it is per ounce, and then you can do the cost comparison. So that's a really good tool to use if you haven't been using that. That's on the shelf right below the food item. And then try frozen and canned options as well. We briefly talked about the distractions. Some of you order online and pick up just because. Stick to that list. Otherwise, when you do go grocery shopping and you all of a sudden see those Oreo cookies on this end zone, for some reason those Oreo cookies jump into the cart and they were not on the list. So if you really train yourselves, that list will work. Eat before you go. I always say if you go hungry, there's going to be a lot of things that look good. And what was it that you find a lot of things that you didn't know you needed? I like that. Yeah. Shop according to the store layout. That will save time. So if you create your list in order of the store, so produce usually is the first item, and then kind of go through the dry good aisles, then do like the cold stuff, the meat products, the dairy products, the eggs, that aisle, and then hit the frozen food and then check out. For some, those children are a distraction when we're shopping. I think as if you do take them into the store, they can learn a lot. From the beginning of having them help with choose what should we have to eat? What are some ideas that you would like for meals this week? Okay. Have them feel like they're part of that planning and they take a little bit more ownership to maybe wanting to eat or to try some of those new foods. Set guidelines to shopping ahead and limit, and that helps limit those challenges. So if they know that they're not buying a certain cereal or the toys that look pretty fun or whatever, that conversation ahead of time helps limit some of those challenges. If shopping, let them help with simple tasks. You know, pick me out a yogurt, whatever they can reach. Pick me out a can of green beans, whatever it might be. Let them actually physically be busy with it. It's going to probably take more time, but they're also learning a lot along the way. For some, it's just the reading skills. For some, they'll get to the point of doing some of the math skills. Allow a child to choose one new food or one new produce to try. If you're trying to get kids to try new foods or to eat, that introduction is super important. And again, if they're allowed to choose a fruit or a new vegetable, they're going to be more apt to want to eat it. So that's a little trick for that. And then limit choices, again, letting them choose a food item, but give them choices. Okay. And then preschool through school age, like I said, can learn a lot, math, reading skills. They can even do some comparisons and learn the value of cost. So,
Just say something. I mean, you think that you're getting a lot, but can't cover the number on prices.
mhm,
Hey, this looks like a lot. Right?
mhm,
Really not. As they start to understand that. It's like a good deal, it looks like a
mhm,
lot.
mhm. Yeah, I love that example. It's so true. They can really see and start to learn about the cost of things and even helping them understand budgets. So I am. So take the time. I love that. Cooking, how many of you prepare your meals, say on a weekend, and then you can freeze them and they're easier to warm up during the week? That's helpful, you know, to take 2 hours on a weekend or 2 hours at night, maybe when the kids have gone to bed, and do your food prep. It's very, very helpful to do some of those batch meals. I have a niece who does these the breakfast burritos, I guess. And she will take a counter and fill it up with breakfast burritos once a month and then freeze them, you know, so they're easy for her husband and the boys to warm up and have a breakfast. Take advantage of evenings, like I just said, that aren't busy. When are we not busy? But maybe there is an hour or two you can do some food prep. Also let the kids help, you know, even though again, that's a little distraction. It's going to take more time, but they're learning their beginning cooking skills. And when they learn to help prepare, it's a feel good for them. They feel like they're part of it. So anything that's safe and easy enough for them, I always say let them be involved. And again, that's one more tool that they're more likely to want to eat the food that you're preparing. So we're going to do a little nutrition facts label. How many of you read those nutrition facts? Okay. My people, is there one person online or how many? Okay. My people online, if you want to grab a box of cereal or another food item that has a nutrition facts and kind of follow along, you can. If not, you can just hang out, right? Okay.
Shelly, while you're handing those out, I was going to just mention you were talking about the helping, the kids helping make things. And one thing that Alyssa did yesterday is she's like, I'm going to make lemon bars. But rather than just, the kids playing and then all of a sudden their dessert shows up, they were involved and they zested the lemons, to get that recipe going. And it took forever. I mean, zesting 4 lemons, letting each of them take, their turn. It probably took 20, 30 minutes to zest those lemons. But in a sense, it's like if they're going to get a dessert, involve them, make them work for it so that it's not just like, we want cookies, we want, it's like, well, if you want them, be involved.
Yeah, that's great. Again, get them involved. It takes time, takes patience, but they're learning so much. They're learning so much. I know even with dishes, they like to play in the water, and it might take 45 minutes for them to get the dishes done, and you could have done it in like 5, but they're learning. So nutrition facts label. For what reasons might we read a nutrition facts label? Find out what's in it. And why is that important to you? Exactly. You don't want the food dyes and the wacky-doo-zoo, right? Some of those words that are in that ingredient list are words we have no idea what they are or how to pronounce them. Okay? So maybe there's an allergy to a food dye, or we're just being more cautious about that. Why else? Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, okay. So like the sugar content, the protein content, why else might we read nutrition facts labels? Okay, a serving size. Are we eating a serving size, or are we eating more, or are we even eating less? Okay, other reasons? Good,
A-
good, I like that.
allergens or food sensitivities.
Mm-hmm. Yep, allergens and food sensitivities. So the nutritional facts label is really filled with a lot of good information, and I think more and more people are starting to be more conscious about it and to actually use it. Most food labels right now are on the side of the box. New guidelines coming out are going to be on the front of the package. So it's like right there for us, okay? A little bit more simplified than what they are now. They just adjusted these not too long ago. Now they're going to adjust it again, encouraging people to use them and to really think twice about what they're purchasing. So it helps us to be more mindful. So on your food labels, for some, if you start at the top, it's going to say a serving or serving size amount, correct? Okay, so that helps you. That also helps you in planning a meal or planning a snack. I told the kids this morning, if you're planning a birthday party and you're making mac and cheese, right? If that mac and cheese box, if it's box mac and cheese, it serves 4. I don't know if that's it, but say it serves 4, but you have 10 kids. So how many boxes of mac and cheese are you going to have to purchase? So it helps us plan that purchasing as well. Then we have the calories in big numbers. For some people, they're calorie counters, but I always say there's more important things than thinking about the calories, especially for kids. And those more important things for kids and adults, I call them, are the big, bad, and ugly. It's the fats, the saturated fats, it's the sugars, and it's the sodium. So the big, bad, and ugly. So So we do need some fats in our diet. We do need that. But we need to limit saturated fats. So that's difference between that saturated and unsaturated. The saturateds are what's going to put us at higher risk for heart issues, heart disease. Okay, that's the one that might create some cholesterol issues and plaque in our arteries and blockage. So if we can teach kids early on, hopefully they will have a healthier life than even we have, than what our previous people have had. So fats, sugars, we don't need a lot of sugar in our diet and no reason to have added sugar in our diet. So I'm just going to have you look at the sugar grams. Let's take a look at, well, let's take a look at the Fruit Loops back there. What is the serving size first for the Fruit Loops? 1 1/3 cup. They've increased that. It used to be 1. So now we get to eat more. But with that, they've also had to adjust all the numbers, okay? Because they probably know we eat more than 1 cup, so let's bump it up to 1 1/3. Okay, so sugar in that 1 1/3 cups. Okay, 12 grams of sugar in that 1 1/3 cups of Fruit Loops. But if we go with that granola bar, is that a honey and nut granola bar? How much sugar? And first of all, is it 1 granola bar or the 2 that are in the package? Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we might look at that granola bar differently now that we have seen this, that it's almost equivalent. So to calculate, because grams is kind of one of those things that we have to imagine, like, well, what's a gram, right? And what's 12 grams? So divide 12 by 4. It's 3. It's 3 teaspoons of sugar in that 1 1/3 cup of Fruit Loops. So almost 3 teaspoons in 2 of those bars. Hey, if it's a Fruit Loop night, it's a Fruit Loop night, right? How about the cornflakes? Okay, 4 grams of sugar in the cornflakes? Okay, so 1 teaspoon. Well, I guess if you're picking the gram, the granola bar versus the Fruit Loops for breakfast, it doesn't really matter, whatever you like, I guess, right? Okay, what is this triple snack thing over here? Okay, is there sugar in that? Okay, so 12 total grams of sugar, natural plus the added. 3 more teaspoons of sugar in how much is a serving? A handful. That's a whole different thing. But we're still talking the sugar. But there is fiber. Fiber's a good thing. Mm-hmm. Okay. You have chicken biscuits or? Okay. Is there another cracker out there other than chicken biscuits? Okay. Let's look at the fat content with chicken biscuits versus the what are those, wheat thins? Okay, what's chicken biscuits fat content? Is that okay? Okay, 8 total grams, 1 saturated. Yours is? Okay, so if we're choosing something heart healthy more so, it would be that wheat thins. How about any sugars? Okay, so higher sugar content. And then let's go to the ugly, the sodium. Okay, and yours? 200. So a little bit higher in sodium, higher in sugar, less fat. You kind of have to pick your battles as to what you're wanting to eat, right? So the lifelong chronic diseases, heart disease, diabetes, obesity, all those things, high blood pressure, we want to try to reduce not only in ourselves, but we need to also help kids learn healthy choices along the way so that they can live healthy down the way. If we give them, did anyone take the Pop-Tart box? I think there was a Pop-Tart box. Yeah? Okay. What's a Pop-Tart box for fat? Okay. So there's a percent, and we'll talk about that too. Did you see anything with grams? Okay. So 2 point fats of saturated. How about sugars? Okay, so we're going to round that to 32, divide by 4, we have 8 teaspoons. 1 pastry or 2 pastries? So for both, okay. So you get to eat both of those pastries in a little package. Okay. Right, it's open. Okay, so there's a little bit of sugar in those Pop-Tarts, and there's really no nutritive value. Even though your kids might say, well, there's strawberries in it. No, there's not really strawberries in it anymore. That's been processed a little bit too much and have some extra sugars. So another one that kids like are fruit snacks. So I just pulled this out of the bag as well. Luckily, this one says made with real fruit. So please, if you do buy fruit snacks, that you buy the ones with real fruit, because there's a lot of them that are just fruit flavored. At least you're getting some fruit value. But again, these sugars are in a little tiny pouch are 6 grams. So you still have, if you can picture one of those little tiny pouches that you get for trick-or-treating, that's what these were, I think. You have over 1 teaspoon of sugar and 1 little pouch of fruit snacks. So it comes down to hopefully choosing healthier whole foods and then some of these sweet treats and teaching them to get that nutrition value along the way. The fats, the sugars, and the salts are the big ones for those lifelong chronic diseases. Fiber is important for our digestive system as well. People with diabetes, and some of you might be challenged with that issue. Some children are. They have to also watch the carbs, because carbs break down to sugar, starch, and fiber. So it's the sugars that are in that. So they might not have like a full bun. They might eat a half a bun or just avoid that bun because they're going to get natural sugars throughout the day with other foods. So that's a whole nother thing. So this was the guide that we were looking at as finding out our information. And then you had mentioned percentage-wise, just another little key, this daily value is how much we obviously get within a day with a serving of this. So 5% is low, 20% is high. So if you look at this, it's in between that 5 and 20, obviously, so it's kind of mediocre. And then you have this is higher than 20. That's one of those substances, again, that we don't really want a whole lot of. So this one, we would want to try to find something with less sodium if we're looking for that. And then same with sugars. We're looking at whatever this food product is, the 6 grams, it's all built into that carbohydrate. So it's kind of in the middle of the road for that too. But that's kind of a good little general guideline. 5% is low. That's what you're trying to shoot for, closer to that 5. 20% or higher for some of those ones that lead us to chronic disease. We want to try to limit. However, if it's 20% or higher in some of the vitamins, that would be excellent. So like this is a pretty good source of calcium, whatever this food item was. And then we need to watch out for some health claims as well. Lots of things that are out there claiming the fame of it's going to be heart healthy or it's going to be whatever for us, right? So we need to really read what those claims are saying and actually probably do a little research for that, because everything that companies want to claim are not fully accurate. Also check serving sizes and then check that ingredient list. If they say whole wheat, is there really whole wheat flour in there, or what percentage of whole wheat flour is in there? If they say organic, are those products that are in that really truly organic? So some of the things that are kind of interesting, I guess, when you look at that, so if they do say fat-free or low sugar or low sodium, this is what they're based off of. So for fat-free, it's a 0.5 grams per 100 grams, which is a lot of numbers here, but you will find the grams on your packages. Sugar-free has to contain less than that 0.5 per serving. Sodium-free has to contain less than the 5. Very low contains 35 or less, and then low is 140. And then you would have full sodium. So, and then whole grain is 51% whole grain. So my story with the whole grain thing, I used to teach up at a middle school, and it was in those years that the lunches were going to be more healthy, and it would have to be whole grain to be considered healthy. So packaged Rice Krispie bars and donuts. And you're thinking, okay, we have packaged Rice Krispie bars and donuts in our school lunches and breakfasts, and yes, we do. So they switched out the Rice Krispie bars in the packages, the regular Rice Krispie bars, for the whole grain Rice Krispie bars. I thought, okay, what's the difference in these? So I actually had to compare them. And the whole grain did have 51% of whole grain in it, but everything else was much higher. More sodium, more sugar added, more everything, more fat than the regular one. And I thought, okay, what's healthy about this? And it just like, I just shook my head. I thought, really? Same with the donuts. I went down, they used to have donuts with chocolate frosting, big thick ones. I don't know where they, if they made them or if they got them in from someplace, but kids are going to go after the donut for breakfast. Well, first of all, there's not a lot of nutrition value, and nor is that going to last all morning. So, but they're going to eat a donut. And then anyway, they were still serving donuts. And I said, how are you serving these donuts? Well, they're 51% whole grain now. Okay. It's just like, to me, looking at food choices and just because it just met that, it all of a sudden turned healthier, but all that other stuff went up. So it was kind of crazy. So you do have to look at it, at the claims and at how much of everything else is in there. And I guess we have to pick our battles of what it is we want to eat and do that comparison. If we want to truly believe that that Rice Krispie bar is really healthy for us, is it as a whole? Okay, so I don't know. To me, I didn't think it really was. Then we have some organic information. Certified means food has been grown without fertilizers and pesticides. Organic means 95% of the ingredients have to be certified. So that means that 95% of those ingredients have to be grown without the fertilizers and pesticides. And then made with organic ingredients just have to have at least 70%. So that organic word sometimes catches people and thinks, well, it's organic, but how much of organic is it that you really want, if you want? And then ingredient list, we pretty much dissected that in food label except for the ingredient list, and you had mentioned, well, there's a lot of things on that ingredient list that we sometimes don't know what it is. If you look at that ingredient list, the first food item or substance, the first one that's listed on the ingredients item is what is in it by the most weight. Okay, so technically, if you're eating corn flakes and it's, I believe your first one's going to be milled corn. It's a whole grain. It's corn. Okay, so if it was anything else, since it's called corn flakes, if it was anything else listed first, they couldn't call it corn flakes. Okay, so by weight, that's the first ingredient, and then the second ingredient, and the third ingredient. How many of you actually have a food product that's sugar or corn syrup or high fructose or molasses or any of those sweetener names are not on the top three? Not on the top three. Not even the wheat thins. Number 3, popcorn. Okay, and what's yours? Okay, protein bar. Okay. What did cornflakes have? Second ingredient. Okay. Well, what's in that yellow package? Nice. Okay. So that one might be the winner of all. Yep. Yep. Fructose, any kind of sweetener, molasses, corn syrup. Yeah, you're true. You have to know the sugar names. Yep. So anyway, use that ingredient list to decide what it is that you're really truly going to eat and what it is that you might not. And I know you mentioned the dyes and they're taking that red dye out finally. But yeah, people have a lot of allergies. So you use that ingredient list to decide if it's something that your family can eat, if there are allergies. Usually below that ingredient list, there's an allergy list. And a lot of the allergies, the common allergies, it'll say dairy products are made in a plant that contains tree nuts or processed in a plant. Because if they're processed in a plant or made in a plant with, and even though it claims that they don't have it in it as an ingredient, some people are still allergic to it because of the dust that floats in that factory's space. Okay, and that's why they have to say it's made or processed in that. There are companies that actually have 2 separate plants that they will keep it clean both ways. But that's a huge, huge thing to think about if there are allergies with your children at home. And then there's misconceptions about date labels. I know I've had a few phone calls on this. Best if used by or before is an estimate of when a product will be best flavor quality. So best by is best flavor. Okay, doesn't mean it's bad if you eat it tomorrow and today was the best by date. It just means that, and I can't imagine flavor is going to change in a day, but maybe a week down the way, that flavor could be changed. Sell by is date tells the store how long that it can actually be displayed. So they technically should be moving their cans and their goods towards the front as they're restocking. Okay, even the dairy aisle, they all should be moving that stuff to the front to clear out the sell by date. And then use by is the last date recommended for the use of the product while at peak quality. It is not an expiration or a safety date. And so there again, food banks technically are not to, if it says expiration date, they technically are not to have those on stock. And people donating to food banks, like if all of a sudden I just had to clean out my pantry and I see, oh, May of 2022, they shouldn't be accepting that. I mean, when you think about it, if it's not good for us, it's not good for someone else that's going to take it home and want to use it. So we need to think about our dates again. Expiration is expiration. It's technically done for food safety. Okay. However, the use by, the best by, are dates of quality and flavor. And then that sell by, they do, and they should be getting it off the shelves, just again for a safety measure. Freezing, date is recommended date when a product should be frozen to maintain peak freshness. So say, for example, you went to Sam's and you bought the 5 or 6, how many ever those little packs come in those things? I just discovered them. I really like them. But you get a pound of hamburger and they're all prepackaged and you have about 5 or 7 of them, so you can just throw them in the freezer. But say, for example, I bought some chicken or beef at the store. Technically, all of that should be used or cooked within 3 to 5 days, or it should be in the freezer. Even with your food that you've prepared, 3 to 5 days should be in the freezer. Okay, that's just a good number to go with. And the last couple slides are thinking about the importance of meal times, family togetherness. There's just a lot of families that don't have that at this point. I know when I was teaching, I could ask the kids, how many of you actually sit down with your family at least once a week? And there would be several that would not raise their hand. So to me, that was pretty sad because you can learn so much from kids and kids can learn so much from you. As you join together and enjoy a meal together, you take that time, you plan, you shop, you spend your money. There hopefully will be time that you can sit down and eat together. So eating meals together helps prevent risks of mental health issues. 91% of families report significantly less stress when they ate together regularly. And that's children and adults. But in middle school, one of the things that they would come out and say about families would be that they want more quality time. They feel like they're either too busy with activities or they just don't get the quality time to sit down and talk to a family member. And that is so research-based with a lot of our mental health issues going on right now. Some of the kids don't feel like there's any connections. And to me, that's heartbreaking to know that there's not connections being made. So when you have your children at home with you, love them, love them, love them. Togetherness encourages family healthy eating habits. And again, what I do, I mean, it's a mirrored kind of imitation, kind of not a, they imitate you of, so if you're eating healthy, they're more likely to eat healthy. If you're trying new food, they're more likely to try a new food. Builds confidence in those children. And again, if they had part of planning and taking a half hour to mix up this lemon dessert, it's going to be a treat. They're going to be super proud that they did that. And then it just helps build better communications between all. Tell me one thing that you did today in school, or one thing you enjoyed today, and you share out you too. I know of a family that's part of their meal is they'll do their prayers and then they'll do around the table, and everyone has to share out something. But again, it's just so critical to have that together time with them. I meant to bring some cards. Have you ever received the Lead Local parent lead cards, just family openers, like pick a card and let's talk about your favorite pet or your, okay. I'm going to try to get those to you. I meant to grab them going out of the office today and I didn't, so I apologize, but they're great tools to use. Just leave it on your table and they're just like starters. And so everyone can share with that, whether they're little kids or big kids. So that's that. So plan, shop, and save. I know it doesn't go too much in depth, but planning that meal, try to plan for the week, have kids maybe make some choices with that meal plan. Follow the list, use the coupons or the ads or the apps to save a little bit of money. If you can shop like at, I hate to be a promoter of certain stores, but if you can shop in bulk sometimes, especially the produce, it is sometimes a better deal than a smaller store. However, sometimes shopping in bulk is not the best buy as well. So you have to really watch those prices, use that UPC coding to check out. And then just always think about trying to get the appropriate number of servings in a day, sneak those healthy foods in for their snacks and for our snacks. Sliced cucumbers and actually sliced celery have turned into my new fun snack. It's like eating popcorn, only it's different. But it actually sometimes is for me because I don't get holes in my teeth then. Yeah. There you go. Make it fun. Make it fun. Yeah. Make your food fun. Make little bugs and animals out of them. Yeah. So good. Try it. You might like it. No. Love it. Love it. Good. Good for you. That's one thing we talked about today is infusing it with vegetables, AKA cucumbers, or fruit of some sort, or combining fruits like pineapple with orange, unless you just want the pineapple flavor, or blueberries or blackberries, even adding in some of the like mint or basil. That adds a little twist to it too. But sometimes it's, if you just really don't like plain water and you need some kind of a flavor, that's the best way to get it.
You mentioned that you were sharing alternate ways to get your water in. Can you share a few of those? Because that's always a struggle with kiddos.
Yes. If they drink, I don't like to promote juice either, but orange juice does have about 90% water in it. But that again has some high sugar octane in it. Actually, broccoli, it does not look like a puddle of water, but it's 92% water. No, even if you add a little bit of, sometimes we have to doctor it up with a little ranch dressing or a little bit of melted cheese. Yep, you could. Hmm. Yeah. Lemon water. Um, any kind of fruit. Most of them have 80% or higher. Fruit and a lot of the vegetables. Carrots, even, they don't look like a real water food, but they are. Grapes, great snacks. Watermelon, peaches, even raisins. I mean, they're not a high water. They're 15% water when you actually dry them, but that's the lowest one, dried fruit. And good iron. Mhm. And I always say water is important too, to hydrate you, but to help with your blood, help your body absorb the nutrients, and help with your digestive system. So there used to be kind of an old rule that we would need to drink about half our body weight in ounces. So like the kids today, if they were 80 pounds, if they drink 40 ounces, which might be a bottle and a little bit more. And most of the kids are saying they drink at least one, if not two bottles of water every day. Now, there is a point that we can drink too much water as well, because of all the electrolytes in our body and how our body is working. But if you just need your water. So mhm, mhm, yeah, mhm, exactly. Well, I even found just myself, I have a metal one. I only like, well, actually I have two metal ones. I only like one metal one because it actually has a little nozzle on it. I just, something about metal bugs me. And I know it's better than plastic, but I drink more water if I just refill a plastic water bottle. I will drink a lot of water out of a bottle like that. And I think it's just the size of the opening or something. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
I'm so loud. I don't. For the
You're not loud enough for the online.
those like Costco sells them in bulk. Those liquid IVs. I mean, you have to look at the sugar, but I've had teenagers that don't really like sweets, but they'll do a liquid IV and it has electrolytes and some better stuff in it. And that's literally how one of my teenagers drink water. So just an idea.
Yeah, just kind of watch, kind of limit that if you can.
Yeah. Like a
Um,
pack a day, like a little one packet.
Yeah.
It's better than Coke all day.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Energy drinks, I have to say a little plug with that too. Please, please don't yourself or don't let your kids drink that stuff. It's not good. Caffeine actually for any kids and teenagers, even though they have coffee shops in high schools, it's just not a thing. I mean, their brain is not developed yet, and caffeine really affects the brain. So we need to kind of watch that. And unfortunately, how some teens are using energy drinks and how much they will drink can actually lead to cardiac arrest. So that's a real concern for me. I had a neighbor whose granddaughter was in the hospital for a month and a half in a coma. She did come out of it, but it was that's what she chose to drink, and a lot of it one night. So, yeah. Oh, protein shakes and protein bars. That's, a thing too. And I always tell kids to try to get proteins out of real food rather than those supplemental type foods, because they literally, some of the kids will think that protein comes from a protein bar. So they need to learn good foods first before some of that supplements. And as an adult, anytime we use supplements, we really need to make sure our physician knows, because that can create some issues with other medications. And I think the time is up with your online thing. So, and for us. Mm-hmm.
So Shelly, you were talking about favorite meals and things like that. Are there any meals that you can think of or that you can share that are really strong nutritionally and also of great value?
Plan proteins first. If you can base like your meal around a protein, plan that first, because we technically need 65 to 90, depending on our age, kids included. I always say 30, 30, and 30, and that's actually a lot of protein. So if you start breakfast with an egg or two, or if you have a piece of sausage, or if you make that peanut, even that tablespoon of peanut butter, it's a start.
And that's 30 grams, right? 30, 30, 30.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to get that much protein in. It truly is. Yogurt is a good source. Some yogurts will have 12 grams, so that's a good little breakfast food. Meal-wise, I always say start with a protein if you can, and then make sure you get those fruits and your vegetables. Half your plate of fruits and vegetables. Salads are great. Add chicken to it. You can take chicken and add it. It sounds terrible. You can take chicken and add it to anything, and you have a pretty good meal. You can make chicken quesadillas, chicken hot dish, chicken sandwich. It's a protein base, and it can work so well. Meals, it's just a matter of what your family likes. If it's meat and potatoes, rice, beans. Beans are excellent source of protein as well, like black beans, pinto beans, even refried beans, if you need to go to refried beans. But beans are good. Lentils are excellent. How many of you cook with lentils? That's a really good source. Lentil soup is good. Some of you are thinking, "Ugh." For real? Okay. Oh. Mhm. Yeah, it's great proteins. Great. Soups. You can do a lot with soup with a protein and some veggies. I, mm-hmm. Yeah. Is my sister online? No, her name's Kathy, and she loves everything's lentils at her house. That's kind of funny. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Anything else? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Shelly. Is this one on? Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, Shelly. Yes. Thank you. Okay. One thing I want to say, if you guys, the CPS licensors, they're just trying to do a more active effort in even asking foster parents to help with recruitment of other people who may be interested in being foster parents. And so I just have this basket outside the doors that has like some flyers and just a bunch of little things. So if you have a place of employment, you could lay them, or you frequent certain businesses like chiropractors, dentist's office, or wherever, and you can leave that stuff and they'll allow you to leave it to set out. So if people see it and are interested, they can get in touch. Feel free to take whatever you want out of the basket. I think there's even some coloring sheets. So even if you just want to take one home for your kids to color on, please do. But there's a basket out there, and there's some stuff. So if you feel like taking anything to place anywhere, please do so. And then I just wanted to say our next meeting is Tuesday, March 11th, and we're gonna have positive discipline. And JC, I think her last name is Warner. She's the parent family educator with the NDSU Extension Campus, and so she's gonna be with us next month for our training. And again, you can attend in person and get a meal and some childcare, or please attend virtually if you can't attend in person, because we love having you guys here. And if you attend in person, I feel like the conversation is just so much better, and we can not only connect with each other over a meal, but we can also learn a lot during the discussion and question and answer time of the evening too. So we appreciate you guys coming. If you need to pay your dues, Adam would love to take your $20 for the year 2025 for your dues for your family. So thank you so much.